Hello, welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday. And I am in my car, if you did not know. I wasn't planning actually to do a Facebook Live really didn't want to do it at all today because I'm so busy with my TV stuff here in Houston, but I decided to go ahead and do this. So for those of you that are joining, bear with me as I share this to my page. So welcome to Houston, Texas again. Another beautiful sunshiny day. Hello Lisa Brown, hello Tina Spielman. I'm going to copy this to my support group and then we'll get started here. Hello Stephanie from Kentucky. Hello Mary. All right. So again, I wasn't planning to do this until I was going to do just a watch me talk on the TV show thingy. And I don't know, the Holy Spirit had other plans, I guess. So I'm going to recap, first of all, yesterday. Yesterday was kind of cool because all I had planned on doing was a Facebook Live about something somewhere in Houston. Didn't know exactly where I was going to go. And when I had my TV thing, I was going to do several TV recordings for my show, Restorative Freedom. So yesterday when I was doing my topic on talking about, well, I'll take it back a little bit further too. Before I actually went there to do my Facebook Live, there's a lady named Barbara Alpha who has a ministry called Back to Basics, and it's in Houston. She does ministry in San Antonio, and she works with a lot of inner city youth and helping them to have better lives and to love on them, to have appreciation dinners and parties and so forth. So anyway, she had invited me to do some ministry last night, which I wasn't planning to do at all, but I was open so I could do it. So I will come back to that. But I ended up stopping, and this is just talking about this in sequence. I ended up stopping to do the Facebook Live, downtown in Houston. And when I was talking about purity and righteousness, then there's doves that started to coo. And I didn't even notice them at first. I mean, people started noticing them on Facebook Live and like, wow, do you hear those doves? They're cooing. And I'm like, wow, I do guess I didn't think you could hear them, And so it's kind of fun to have the doves appear out of nowhere. And they were actually both sides of this pond that I was at in downtown, cooing. You could hear them, it's like stereo. And then actually at the end, I went over to one of the trees, looked up in it, and you could actually see the dove. So it's kind of neat to have the Lord kind of affirming the message of what the Lord wanted me to speak about, And then I ended up going on from there and doing my TV shows. Did 4 shows yesterday, and I'm actually right outside. I'll show you here, up there. That is the building that has the studios for KBN TV, where I do my recording at. So that's where I was at yesterday. And then last night, I got to, this is only the second time that I've been able to participate in this ministry with Back to Basics. It's a b2bministry.com is the website. Barbara Alpha is the founder and director of it. And she works with kids that are in Houston primarily, but also occasionally she goes to San Antonio. And they host parties, birthday parties, holiday parties, affirmation dinners, outreaches, celebrations. They raise, money and needed money for clothing, for youth and for food. In fact, they were talking last night, after we did it was outside, it was at an apartment complex, and there was like an Easter egg hunt they were having, and they had a DJ, and they were singing songs and, talking about Jesus and resurrecting and what does it mean and all this good stuff. So it was really cool to watch all that and be a part of that because I don't really get to. I get to do all this other ministry after the fact, after people have gone through wounds from their mom and their dad, and then they're adults, and you see the fallout from that, with relationships that are broken. And I always thought, man, if we could actually reach into the families when they're kids are being hurt, by a lack of a father or a mother, and be able to love on them to help stop that spirit of Jezebel Leviathan coming on a person prior to that. And I could see, it broke my heart to see those kids. I could just sense in the spirit that their homes were not like the homes that I grew up in, or the home I grew up in, with an intact father and mother, that loved me, that weren't being horrible to me. That means everything. That changes everything in a person's life. And so it was very impactful to be there to witness that, and the love that they had. They had snow cones and food to hand out, and an Easter egg hunt, and just you could tell that the kids appreciated it and that they felt the love. And it was neat to get to know the ministry people afterwards with dinner and stuff. So in fact, Barbara was telling me that she had a lot of meetings with the CPS, Child Protective Services, and I can't imagine, the turmoil and stuff that these kids have to go through. When you grow up, in the country like I did, I just didn't see that. You grew up in a city. This is the fourth largest city in America, Houston, and there's a lot of pain in these, families that don't have fathers or don't have mothers, or they're addicted to this and that. And Lord just, wants to love on these kids to stop this ongoing stuff that happens to them when they get young, and then they get older, and tries to enemy hurts them. So anyway, it was good, for me to see that, to be around it, and to she was sharing some stories about this one person got shot, I think killed, and it's fairly commonplace. I'm not sure how often it happens, but when you have that environment, it just is very sad. So anyway, I wanted to plug Barbara and her ministries. Again, it's b2bministry.com, and she's been doing this, I don't know how many years, but several years, and has a really cool testimony as well. So that being said, today the Lord wanted me to talk about, do you want to be defeated or to be a champion? And so much of what I saw yesterday, and just knowing now what I know, how we can easily be defeated by the enemy by looking at our circumstances, by being hurt by the words that people speak, the actions that they take. And then as we grow older, we continue to have that pain. We continue to hear the voices of the enemy, and causing us to be mean to other people and to not love the way that we should. And so what's interesting is the place I'm staying at here for the next couple days, I didn't realize it, but it's known, the whole town is referred to as Champion. And they have streets that are named Champion. They have a golf course named Champion. They have a stone company. I saw it looked like a marker for a cemetery that said, Champion Stone Company on it as I was driving. Just everywhere, Champion, 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 Champion. And subdivisions that were named Champion. And then the Lord reminded me, he said, Nelson, what does your name mean? I'm like, well, I forgot about that. Because I never used to like my name Nelson when I grew up. I always thought it was a dweeb kind of name. It wasn't like, I don't know, Mike or something more common. I didn't know anybody named Nelson, first name in my entire school, throughout, high school, and everybody. Nobody older than me had that name, nobody younger. And so ultimately, though, I learned what it meant a couple of years ago when I did some research, and Nelson means the son of a champion. And I was like, wow, I didn't know that. Well, that's kind of cool. I'd like to be associated with a champion, and be the son of a champion. When you think about who is Christ, Christ is the champion. He defeated the enemy. He defeated Satan and death and everything for us, so that we could also be champions. And what was interesting was when I was driving from that area, which is in north suburb or whatever of Houston, as I'm driving down, I see more billboards saying, one said the Champions, and it was an advocacy group here in Houston. Another one had a billboard that said, World Series champs, or champions, because Houston Astros won that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is cool. Yeah. And so the Lord, I'm like, what? I go, you want me to talk about something like that, God? Because I was going to plan to just show you guys me talking on the TV station, but I was kind of, I don't know, it's not as interactive and so forth. So the Lord said, yeah, because I want you to talk about that subject, because it says there's too many people out there that are feeling defeated in their lives, looking upon their circumstances, the current situations that they're in, and the enemy has them speak out the words of defeat. And he said, we cannot do that. We have to speak as if we were our champion, and then we will become the champion that we truly are meant to be by the Lord. He goes, look at your own life, Nelson. He said, things looked horrible when you went through separating, and then your wife filed for divorce and started lying about you. And everybody, a lot of people at church believed it initially. They don't anymore because they see the fruit of the ministry and stuff. But he said, what did you do? You could have been very defeated. You could have been very sad, very depressed, and just spoke those words out. He said, and you didn't do that. He said, you spoke life because you truly believed that your circumstances would change. Even though at the time I had to give plasma to make money to eat and truly get myself completely humbled, have no money, go into a great deal of debt. And a lot of that debt obviously came on because I was helping my ex-wife's children and taking debt away from them and putting it on myself. So he said, you could have gotten into the negativity like a lot of people do and spoken about all these circumstances that looked horrible, and all these people that used to be your friends that turned their backs on you, didn't know the truth, and so but you didn't do that. He said, that's what I want you to speak about today, is that my people are victorious, my people are champions. That's who we are in Christ, and that we need to speak that out. We need to speak positive. I know a lot of people, a lot of friends that are very close to me that have circumstances that are not good, that can get into fear. They could speak negativity, and you have no idea, because they don't do that on their Facebook pages. They speak life. They speak positive. And that's what we're supposed to do, no matter what our circumstances are. If we owe a great deal of debt that we don't think that we can ever possibly pay back, speak life as if it's already done. Thank the Lord for it. Thank Him in advance that it is done, and keep thanking Him for it. I think about my daughter. I wanted her full time, and my first wife, we had shared custody, and then my daughter wanted to live with me full time, and so I had to speak it out and thank the Lord that I had full custody. I didn't even go to court. I thanked the Lord for it in the spirit realm and believed it. And I did that every morning for like 6 months before it finally came to pass. And then I had her full time. So it's exciting to see, that. And we need to speak life. We can't speak death over our circumstances, because there's too many people in church that are speaking negativity. And oh my gosh, I'm under the circumstances. How am I doing? It's really bad. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, you can confide in a friend, a godly friend that hears the Lord, and you can tell them the truth. When I was going through my season of hell, I guess I call it, I had a good friend that I could talk to. Her name was Rabia. She got it. She understood it. She actually mentored my ex-wife, and she knew her very well. I mean, she didn't know her as well as I did, but that's one person I could confide in, as well as her husband. And but I wouldn't speak negativity. I wouldn't post it on Facebook and saying, oh my gosh, I'm dying out here, please help me. I never ask anybody for prayer. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but you have to be wise and discerning. Only ask those that are your closest friends for the prayer. I don't ask ever for prayer on any platform. I don't ask for money. Unless the Lord has me do a teaching or something that's a school of ministry. I've done that, or a deliverance, global session, whatever. But I don't, if I have my needs financially, I don't ask for it. And then if a good friend knows about it, I've had some good friends that have donated to me because they knew that I needed it, several years ago. But anyway, I love you guys, and I know a lot of you guys are doing great. I mean, you just are, because you are salt of the earth people. I love you guys with all my heart, and some people that I've gotten to know a lot closer just it's neat to see the Lord working in their lives, sharing their hearts and stuff, and that's what the Lord wants us to do with those that are appropriate. You can't share your heart out there in Facebook land and then have everybody hurt you. I mean, I've had people, that have come against me on Facebook on some of the stuff on my ministry, and occasionally I have to block them. I don't want to, but if they're being used by the enemy, then I need to do that, because I can't have words spoken and posted on my Facebook page to come against myself. But I don't want to do that. I love people. Anyway, we want to be champions. That's who we should all be. And if you can kind of change your mindsets, for those of you that have maybe spoken some things that are negative, or maybe you're experiencing things, I get it. I understand that. It's all a part of our lives. We don't all have, cookies and blizzards to eat every day, or we don't all have, great things that happen to us every day. We go through stuff. It's a part of the process. It's a process of getting stronger. Think about it when you are like, I was over in Israel back in 2009. I remember I climbed up to the very top of this really treacherous mountain where David hid from Saul. And the Lord spoke to me when I was up there. I mean, you could see for probably 20, 30 miles in every direction. It was so cool. But it was dangerous. I mean, they didn't have any railings up there. And they had signs all over the place saying, beware, you could die. But there was like there was a cave up there where he could actually sleep in and hide in. And so it was and it was dangerous. It was. I mean, you had to like pull yourself up, and you could have slipped and fallen and died. There was very few people that went up there. I think there was only one other person that went up there in our whole group of 200 and some people from Morris Cirillo. So when I got up there, though, the Lord spoke to me and said, what you're going to be going through in ministry is going to be extreme stuff. But he said that, most people in churches will simply get off, like they're like most people that came with us on that group tour, they got off the bus and they actually ate at this local cantina there. And he said that represents or symbolizes most of the people in their walks with Christ at church. They go to church maybe on a Sunday morning, and that's it. Maybe they go on a Wednesday, I don't know. But he said most people, that's their life, and they consider themselves Christians. Some of them consider themselves strong Christians. They said they're not doing anything for me. They're not actually helping other people and loving on them and stretching, lives and so forth. So when I saw that symbolized, then the Lord said, now there was a waterfall that took you like an hour to get back to. He said, now those are people that are like leaders and teachers and pastors and so forth that spend more time, wanting to help people. But he said there's going to be very few people that are going to basically go through what you're going through or going to be going through. I was going through it initially. It's been 6 months into it. I had another 5.5 years to go. But he said that because of that, he said that's going to be, worth it though. You'll have an extreme anointing for what you're going to be willing to go through and laying your life down. He said, look at all that you can see. Look at all the, it was very symbolic to me. And it's played out exactly like the Lord had said and showed me. So anyway, I know a lot of you guys on here already do speak life over your circumstances. And again, if you have friends and stuff that don't, you have to be careful. You don't want to hurt them by saying, hey, knock it off, quit speaking death, over your situation. But I know a lot of people, that's where they're at. A lot of people that are hurting. We talked about this last night. Hurting people hurt people. And I know that sometimes it's an excuse, but it's true. When you're in pain, you hear the enemy, and the enemy is speaking through you out of that pain. And until you get your heart healed, until you get your soul healed, until you get your wounds, you choose to forgive those that have hurt you. A lot of people have had lack of fathers or pain from their fathers and mothers, and it's painful. I can't imagine what that would feel like. I didn't have to go through that. My pain didn't start until after, my son had been hurt for 10 years. I'd endure that. And then my second wife was really hard to go through. But I wouldn't be in the ministry in the position that I'm in right now if I had complained about it the whole time and been like the Israelites and been in the desert for 40 years complaining and then dying out because the Lord got tired of hearing them complaining. If you have a child, think about it. Would you want to be around that child if they complained all the day long to you? Every night, woe is me, and my situation's really stinks, and blah, 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 blah. No, you wouldn't want that. I know there's some friends that I used to have that would do that. It's like, man, I don't want to be around you. You're a Debbie Downer. Who wants to be around a Debbie Downer? I don't. I want to be around I don't know, a person that's positive, that's speaking life, that I can have fun with, that I can enjoy life with. I enjoyed my life this last week. I was a couple of days off, and my good friend Tina from College Station, we had some, awesome fun times, but we also realized that, that there's people out there every day that have lives that are just, so it breaks your heart, but we can't be focused every single minute of the day on the negative. We have to speak life into the lives of others, and to be positive and to lift them up. And when I was in Florida, I think it was on my birthday, January 2nd, I was on Marco Island. They had another island there called like Tiger Tail Island that you have to actually cross across the ocean, whatever, Gulf of Mexico. That's there. You have to walk across it. And I had no idea how deep that it was, but I had to carry my iPad, and my phone there, and I had to walk across that. And it was somewhat dangerous. I could have fallen, and could have, end up ruining my phone and my iPad. But once I got across there, I did my Facebook Live from there. And there was only like a couple people that actually were there, because it was somewhat dangerous to get across there. But when I did, the Lord showed me. He said, "You've crossed to the other side now, Nelson. You've come out of the pain and the suffering and all the stuff that made you who you truly are today. How you can love people now unconditionally, and no matter what they might do to you, you can forgive. You can see them as I see them." And he said, "I want you to help bring the other people across." And that's those that are in my ministry, Restored to Freedom. That's what they are called to do as well, is to bring them to the other side. Yeah, we all go through things, but we can't dwell upon that. We have to speak life. And once you get to the other side, then you bring more people with you. I think that's really a good symbol of everything in life, is that we all go through stuff that's hard and that's hurtful, that's painful. And we have to speak life into those. And if I dwelt, in fact, a lot of times I did ministry, when I did the 2,000 plus deliverance sessions, I wouldn't even let them speak, the people I did ministry with what they've gone through. I didn't, because I'm like, wait a minute, you're in pain, you're hurting, and I have what I believe is the answer for that. So why would I want to listen to what you've gone through? I'm not being disrespectful, of course, to them, or unloving. But it's like, if Jesus was here, I would want to shut my mouth and listen to Jesus and say, "Tell me, how can I become like you?" That's what I want to be. And so what I would do with my sessions is I would say, "Don't tell me anything about you. I will get a word from the Lord," which was like a 4 or 5 minute word. It invariably talked about the pain and stuff that they'd gone through, but it also spoke into who they truly could be when they went through deliverance. And then I would take them through the deliverance prayers, and they would get set free. And it was awesome and amazing. Within 45 minutes, we could get them delivered from this stuff, and they wouldn't hear the voices of the enemy anymore, causing them to be, depressed, and they could get healed from a lot of things instantly. It was very eye-opening, because the Lord revealed to me, if they're going to be talking the whole session about all their life story and all the pain that they've gone through, sure, that's important, at some point. But he said, if you just listen to them and you have empathy for them, they're not going to get healed. They're not going to get delivered. They're not going to get to the other side, crossing over to where they're on the island of peace and the island of joy. I've joked about the island of Jezebel, where we could take all the Jezebels and put them on that island and put alligators and sharks all around there. So that would be, one way of getting rid of the Jezebel. So they have to look in the mirror at themselves and say, "Listen, the problem's you. It's within you. Get delivered, and then you can come off the island." It'd be nice to have an island where we have all peace, love, and joy. Well, that's going to be, of course, heaven. And when Christ comes back and sets up the kingdom, then we will have, that to experience. But until we get there, let's speak life. Let's be champions. I think about, I only have about 5 minutes left, and I have to do my TV thing, so sorry. Again, by the way, for those of you that just joined, I'll show you where I do my TV, where the studios are at. It's right behind me here. There. Yep, I'm on the second floor there. It's where KBN TV studios, and actually their football stadium, I can see it from here. It's like less than a mile, the NRG Stadium. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's over there. So basically we're on the southwest side of Houston. Houston strong. Houston, the city of champions, World Series champions. So again, we want to be champions. We do not want to be defeated Christians. We do not want to be on the enemy's territory. We want to be speaking life and positive and speaking truth. And if we're not getting that from the church, then we've got to find it somewhere. You know, the Lord has me talk about a lot of subjects and issues that people don't want to talk about in the church. But, oh well, you know, it's changed my life. And I will keep talking about it till I get, you know, whatever billions of people changed and set free. However many the Lord wants me to set up. Hey, I'll share this. So Uplift TV out of Dallas, they're the ones that I do the KBN TV recording of the shows here, and then they run with the... Sorry about that, got a phone call. But they just announced to me yesterday that they're going to be basically doubling the number of people that will have access to the show. So it's going to go from like 80 million to 160 million, something like that. So how cool is that? That's getting closer to, I think, 50% of the United States that will be able to have access to watching Restorative Freedom. And by the way, so my show comes out every Sunday on Uplift TV, and it goes out to channel 379 for those of you that have direct TV, and there's several other, and they keep adding more to that. That's why we're going to grow larger. But it's at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Mountain, noon Pacific on Sunday. And what's neat is that at the end of that show, I'm getting phone calls from people that watch the show, or getting phone calls over the next several days as people watch it. So it's starting to grow, and it's exciting to see because the Lord told me He wanted to get it out there and promote it. So anyway, hopefully I don't look too, I look kind of weird because the sun is like right up there in my sunrow. And I'm getting blinded by the light. Anyway. All right, I love you guys, and I got 2 minutes left to get my shirt changed and get my suit coat on and to start the show. So I love you guys. You guys are great. I love all my friends, and you guys are special. So be a champion today. Speak life. Lift people up, and watch your life change to become that champion that God's created you to be. So... And if you guys didn't listen to yesterday's Facebook Live, listen to it. There are doves, literally, that are cooing, and that's really cool. It's only 30 minutes long. It's like, I don't know, halfway through it, you could hear them so clearly, and then I actually focus on it in the last 5 minutes of it. So, anyway, I think that's everything. I think. All right, love you guys. See you. Bye-bye.